All right, good morning. Hey, look, my camera is not even remotely in the right place today. It's Tuesday. Let me see if I can fix my camera real quick, and then we can get this party started. There we go. Ish. Close enough. So, today I wanted to work a little bit more on this Game Boy tester, and I did do some work on it earlier this morning. I didn't get as much work on it as I wanted to yesterday, but I finally fixed a lot of little issues, especially the issues that we were seeing yesterday that I was trying to go through. The biggest one being that now I've created a new action to load an actual game. So I can upload games and I can choose which version to run. And there's a bunch of other things I just want to do is polish around this, because tomorrow I have to head out to my studio, so I won't be able to stream in the morning. But I figured today I'll just get this going. Thursday I think I have some time to stream. We'll finish up all these tools, and then next week I have the full week just to dedicate solely to getting this Game Boy game done and over the hump that I'm at right now, where I sort of need to readdress everything I built and figure out what I did before I went on my trip to California. So there's a couple of little things I wanted to start doing. Let me just see if I can. Let's keep this real quick. Git add all, git commit, fixing game loading. All right, so I fixed the game loading stuff, which was a big pain. What I want to do is, let's see if we can clean up this. Alright, so I do have a thing where I can change the versioning. I'm just trying to wrap my head around the things that I want to do. Alright, let's do this. The first thing I want to do is some UI stuff. So let's create a new chat here. And I need to find the... I don't remember where the actions are. So there's components, games, game version manager, scripts, UI. I think it's action queue, game, direct disconnection, Game Boy tester, hooks, libs. Let's ask it. Can you tell me where the logic for the actions is stored? Alright, we'll have it do this. I'm going to start filing some bugs so I can keep track of the things that I want to do. Let's create a new issue. I want to remove the option to change action type. When editing action type, you can there is a drop down that lets you change the action, and this should be removed. All right. This technically isn't a... Oh, what did I just do there? This technically isn't a bug. It's more of a enhancement. I also want to refactor actions refactor actions, and I want to make each action its own class with a common interface on how to execute. I want to move to command design pattern. So basically what I want to do here is I want to fix the way that the actions are. Now I've been playing around with a bunch of little experiments, mostly with my Markdown slide generator. What I came up with was this system. The system basically is that each one of these content blocks is its own editor, and they all share a very common interface. So what I want to do is make sure that each of the actions, each of these actions represents its own component, basically. And this way, they'll all share a common interface of how to run. But this will help me with when I want to add more actions, because right now I think a lot of it is just sort of hard-coded. Action storage, action queue component, action define types. The action structure is defined by the game action. Okay. How would I go about refactoring this so we implement a command pattern where each action is a self-contained class that shares a common interface on how to execute. I'm kind of curious to what its approach would be for this. I hate when it gives me the code. Hold on, let me redo this. No code, just walk me through it at a high level. Psst, can't spell today. So what I want to figure out is basically how I can isolate each of these and do this in a way that won't break everything. Create a base game. I love how I said no code. Create a concrete command class. Each class encapsulates its own extract execution contents. Command factory, right? Command execute invoker. Benefits of this approach, right? Migration strategy. Start with one action type. All right. I want you to implement this refactor. You know what? Before we do this, git status. I want to do git checkout main, git merge v0.1.5, git status. Let's make sure we didn't break anything. The main branch is ahead. Git push all. I think I have some stuff that's out of sync. Git checkout v0.1.5. Git checkout v0.1.5. Git git checkout main, git merge v0.1.5, git branch v0.1.6, git checkout v0.1.6. All right, so now git push all, put in my password. All right, and git status, we should be good to go. Everything is clean. And I just want to go back to this and just make sure that it's still working. That flicker is like really weird. I can't tell what, I have to replace this emulator. This is also on my, actually let me see if I can replace, the current emulator is not correctly displaying need to look into another emulator, especially one that I can control frame by frame rendering. All right, so this is a bug. Oh, stop that. All right. So now that we're in this new, branch, now I'm going to have it do the refactoring. So this is sort of like the approach that I do when it comes to versioning, is that you can see here, git branch. So what I do with the git branch is that I create a branch for like version 0.01. And then if I'm doing some things that are within this sort of like function, I'll just add a minor to it. So I'm still sort of cleaning up the flow and the loading and the logic of everything. I haven't really come up with any like major functional changes yet. So I wouldn't move to a v0.2. But then eventually I just go through this incrementing step. And then when I get to version 1.0, to me, that's sort of like a release candidate. So up until this point, these are all just sort of alpha builds. So let me clear this out. Let's go here. And I want you to implement this refactor. Break out each of the actions and make sure they are sharing common interface. Still work without changing any functionality and are completely self-contained. All right, let's see what happens with this refactor. I've had mixed results with like big refactors using Copilot. I don't like, eventually this gets to, so usually what I do, I'm hoping that this is a very straightforward refactor. Usually what I do is I have it make a doc and I'll just add its information into this doc so I can keep track of everything. While this goes on, and it may break some stuff, I'm going to add a couple more bugs. Need to delete, need way to delete report. There is no option to delete a report after it's run. This is an enhancement. Also, the script preview. What would this thing be called here? I guess I'll say script actions are not reporting. Script actions say 0 on dashboard. The script actions say 0 instead of displaying the correct count of actions. This is definitely a bug. Basically what should happen is that this is not showing that there's like X number of actions. It is keeping track of the runs, which is fine. We need to get rid of this duplicate actions. I may be able to just find that and do it. Where is this stored? I think this is probably like my biggest issue with using like the vibe coding stuff, is that I can't It's not marked down. I don't know where a lot of things are, and I just lose track of things. Database viewer, employee tester, project script, API service, simplified project hub. Yeah, here we go. There are these two actions. So let's just delete this. And now we've gotten rid of the actions. Let's see how this is going. Replacing the old execution code. Trying to see what it's adding. So it is making each of these commands. So it's created a folder called source commands. It's now putting all of these commands in place. And let's see. Now let's replace the old execution action functions with the new command-based implementation. Just kind of want to take a look at what they're doing in here. All right. So we have button command, button hold command, game action command, executor, game action command factory. Fine. There's an index. I don't know why. This must just be like a. Yeah, I guess this is like a. I don't really understand why it does this stuff, but I guess it's just a simple way of importing everything. The interface, execution order, valid results, step info. It's a lot of interfaces. Load ROM command, screenshot command, wait for stable state command. All right, so the other thing we're going to do is then refactor command picker. Picker should be only option to choose commands from drop-down menu, not in the actions themselves. Create. All right, it's telling me that things are done, and let's see. So it immediately crashed, which is par for the course, I think, from... Here we go. Let's keep all these changes, even though I don't think it's technically working. When I try to run the script, it throws an error on the first command. All right, so one of the things I did change yesterday after the stream is that I've now created these sort of game actions, but there's always one action at the front. Like you can't, even though you can drag this, you can't modify it. And I did change and fix the ordering and stuff and cleaned up all these animations and UI things. I think what I want to do with this app is that I want to turn this app into a Tori app, which basically Tori is a Rust web wrapper. So over time, I'm going to try to migrate this over to a different layout. I have a template for Tori already. I always forget how to spell it. I thought I'd created one. Maybe Superbase tail admin template. Tori UI template. Tauri. If I start this template, I can sort of show you while it just runs this stuff in the background. Basically, what this template is I found a really great template online. And let's see here. running. We'll preview it. So this is the design for this template, and it's really, I really like the way that it looks, and this is basically what I want to. You can also go to like a light theme. Oh my god, it like blinds my eyes. And in essence, what I'll do is I'll start migrating over this layout to this. I just have to go and look at the different views and figure out how I want this to actually work. But yeah, I think this will be a lot better once I get things up and running. I'm trying to think of where I have a place of where I got this from. I need to just find the I basically saved it on GitHub, but I was trying to see. I think that there was like I thought there were other views. But maybe not. I think like there was like this version. I think the React version didn't have everything migrated over. Let me see where I have this in GitHub. Yeah, it was this one. It just looks really nice, very clean, and hasn't been updated in a while, so it looks like it could use some love. What I really just need to do is figure out how to get some of these other layouts working. I don't think they were migrated over to React, so that's yeah, like these cards and stuff and other things. So I'll deal with that a little bit later. Let's see if this is now working. All right, running, taking a screenshot, waiting a second. All right, so what's going on here? Console. Let me clear this for a second and rerun this. I want to see where it gets the error. It also didn't reload the game. Oh no, there it goes. All right, I think the problem is that at the end it's not. It hits an error at the end. I don't think it's saving the database, the results. So part of my hesitation of the Tori app stuff is that it needs Rust, and it needs like a way of natively building it. So on my list, which is probably what I'm going to work on tomorrow at my studio, is that I have another PC. I'm running on a Mac right now for hosting all this stuff. I have a PC, and what I'm going to do is get it to where they both run the same instances of Coder and everything, and they'll have mirroring compose files for all the stuff that's in my like tech stack, and then it'll allow me to either choose whether I want to do my development on Windows or on Linux ARM, and then I'll be able to do builds and test everything out correctly. It's an infrastructure issue where the SQL database is in read-only mode. This is likely due to file permission. Okay, if it's read-only mode, I've dealt with this before. I just need to restart. Whoops. I just need to restart the project. Yeah, I've noticed this weird bug with Coder where it doesn't restart correctly. If I tell a workspace to restart, it sort of hangs, and I have to like refresh it, then it just stops, and I have to like manually restart it again. So I'm not sure what that is. I might have to file a bug with them. But all right, looks like everything is up and running. Let's refresh. Cool, I lost my entire database. How did I lose my database? Interesting. And it looks like I lost my... Is there something clearing it? I mean, luckily, none of this stuff was sacred. Initial version name, choosing a file, we'll import this one, create the project, cannot retrieve project, failed to load project, SQL error, no such column. Yeah, look at this. So this is giving me a lot of weird issues. It drops all the tables and reapplies migrations. Someone must be calling that. No, this isn't. Oh my god. It's not the reset button. Is the DB actually running? This is strange. I was getting like a weird SQL database issue. The issue is clear. The cycle error indicates that your database schema is missing the project ID column. Wait, where's my database debug? It's weird. It uploaded the database game versions. It did that. Migrations, scripts, tests, schema. The schema is correct. Here we go. Apply pending. Failed to apply migrations. Let's do this for a second. I'm gonna stop the project and I'm gonna delete the old database and recreate it. There should be something in here that's like .db. Maybe the database just doesn't... Oh, huh. Wait, databases. Game Boy tests. Anything loading this? Probably should have just given it the file name. All right, let's see what is going on here. Use the database management UI. Navigate to your database management UI, likely your debug database page. Add automatic migration on startup. We could modify the server to automatically apply pending migration to startup, but that might not be safe for production. Manual SQL fix. You can add the missing columns manually by... Alright, let's do this. Screenshots. Data. I want to move... rename. I want to create a new folder called trash. Yes. And then put this in trash. No, wait. Why can't I just move this to the root of the project? Alright, then move old data here. Public placeholder, fine. Alright, what I wanted to see was data. ROMs. Trying to see where I was trying to understand what creates this database folder. Let's do this here. Git trash. This way we don't include the trash. Close, 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 close. Let's now restart the server, and then what should happen is that this should now tell me that there's no database. All right, let's see if this now created a new database. The migrations applied. Pending. Wait, I want to see something. Let me go back into the database. Right, there's no games, no rows, no migrations. 2 rows. I wonder if these are taking too long to... Maybe this like takes a while for these migrations to happen. I need to clean up the setup process for this. We should actually probably, let me make a bug for this. Need to clean up. Running into lots of issues when trying. Running into lots of issues when trying to start a new project or a new instance of the web app from scratch. It needs to have a setup wizard that creates the database and verifies everything before letting you go to the dashboard. This needs to be self-contained and portable, since I want to make this a TAUR app, and it will end up using its own internal DB. This is a bug. Create. All right, let's see what it did here. The migration application falls with a file is likely due to the database being in read-only mode, as we saw. Why would it be? The alter table commands are failing. The SQL alter tables can fail if. Let me check if there's a way to make the migrations more robust. Doesn't support alter table add column if not exists. Perfect. The server already has a robust migration handler that can deal with column existence. The issue is that the current migration application logic needs to be used. It needs to use this helper for migration. Perfect. Now let's change to make sure the fixes update. The fixes are... Alright, let's see. Restart your server and see if this works. So let's stop this real quick. I'm going to go into data, databases. I'm going to delete this. We're going to start this app back up, and then we'll see if it creates a new database. All right, so created data, created the database. Let's see if this runs. All right, so it's still saying that the migrations are pending. Hold on, let me give it the actual logs. I think this is still running stuff. Add a reports column. I'm just trying to see if this is still running anything. I come back here and I do I go to it's not showing or applied. When you're logging, you see something interesting. The server is automatically adding columns when it starts up. This suggests that the automatic schema patching happens on the server startup that's not going through the formal migration system. Let me check where this is happening. found that the automatic server patching happened in the serverless initialization. Alright, formal migration system you see in the UI, automatic schema patching that's running on the server update. The automatic schema patching is successfully adding the columns, but it's not recording these changes in the migration table. That's why optional mark migrations is applied. Quick fix since the columns are already added. What I actually want to do is all right, so what I want to have it do is I want to have it basically take all these different migrations. So the way that SQL sort of works is that it's going to go through in order and apply like this step. So as I was iterating through and changing things, I created different migrations. What I want to do is condense this down because I now have like a pretty solid structure for what I want the database to be. So I'm going to have it create just one migration file, and then when it boots up, it just simply applies that migration file if needed. And then I think what I want to do is I want the front end to tell the database, I want the front end to control setting up the database. I just want the database server to actually, let's put a new note here so I don't forget it. I want front end should control DB setup. The DB server should just create a new DB, and the front end should validate everything is there, or run the setup process. The DB is not responsible for its own configuration. So it can be swapped out for other databases as needed later on. All right, so this is more of an enhancement than a bug. Create. Let me replace all the automatic scheme patching with a simple command to ensure we only rely on the formal migration system. I was like, before, do that. Before you do that, I want to make sure we are on the same page. I want the front end to control setting up, validating, and fixing database. So if I need to swap out a different back end, the front end knows what it needs. All right, so in this case, what I want to do is I want to create a system where let's see here. What I want to do is I want to create a system now where the front end is responsible for creating all the tables and all the stuff in the back end. Because this is going to be like a self-contained app. Generally, the way those apps work is that it'll create an instance of like an SQLite database, and then from there, I want the front end to be like, okay, I'm going to set myself up. So adding a migration endpoint, let's see what it did. Current state, target architecture, implementation plan. Would you like me to implement this plan? Add migration endpoints to backend. Minimal, just execute SQL. Enhance front-end migration services. Check database, health schema state, run validation, execute migrations to API call, handle migration errors, and rollback. Yeah, and what I also wanted to do is yes, I want you to implement this plan. Document it in the docs folder as MD before you start, and I want you to also change the front end so it goes to the database debug when initially setting itself up and there is no base, or go here if there is an error in order to fix the database. All right. So the other thing that's weird, what I don't understand is, like, I thought it went through these migrations, but I don't know if it. Oh, this database migration service. I see what it did here. Yeah, I think this is like I've been switching through different databases, trying to find the one that I like the most, or at least the one that's easiest for me to use, especially for something like self-contained like this where there's no users or anything like that. And it really I think it just really made a mess of all this stuff. So what we also need to do, I will keep track of this, is remove migration, old folder. Need to separate the new migration logic so migrations live in their own JS file in the migrations folder for future updates, and the old migrations need to be removed. All right, while it does this, I'm going to take a quick break. I will be right back, and then we'll just sort of continue on for the next hour and change as I try to rewire all this up. I wasn't, obviously, as always, expecting this to happen because something happens when I restart the server. So right now I just need to make sure that this whole application can set the database up correctly and everything exists the way that it's supposed to, because I think, is it still running these migrations? Oh, see, there's only one migration now. All right, we'll deal with this in a minute. All right, I will be back in a minute. All right, let's see what damage this has done while I was out. Let's keep all these changes. All right, there's one other thing I want to do. Do we no longer need this migration folder? And should we make the new migration setup individual files to help with changes in future? Not being tied to the code. All right, let's see. You're absolutely right. That's a good question. Version control. Each migration is a separate file, easier to track. Team collaboration. Blah, 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 blah. Creating a new migration folder structure. All right. So, let's have it move this these migration files out. So we can, I don't want it to do this. Wait, stop. And start with a fresh v1 migration that takes the empty DB and populates. All right, I don't think it was understanding what I wanted, but the idea should be that when the app loads up for the first time, it's going to tell you, hey, there's an issue with the database, or you need to set something up. That actually just made more errors. All right, it was using... There we go. All right, so the idea is that now when you start up the application, it's going to create just a blank instance of a database. If one doesn't exist, then it will apply the first migration, and then over time, as I need to change things, I'll just add more migrations to the folder, and those migrations will just get added incrementally in order to move this to the correct version. And this way, you have these this ability to sort of add the migration and then also revert the migration as needed. It's already deleted, but that's fine. It's funny because I've been doing very similar stuff on this other project I'm working on right now. It's just I'm still trying to wrap my head around how to build web apps that create their own structure and set themselves up. So, I mean, I do really like the way that WordPress is sort of like gives you this installation process and it's very hands-off. And I'm trying to replicate that in a lot of the apps that I build, where if you just check it out, it automatically creates a database along with it, and then you can connect it. Actually, I want to make myself a note. Let me actually, I want to do that on my fix templates. Create a option to use an SQ with projects and remove the logic. All right. I've been spending like almost over like a week now trying to figure out how to add templates for my database So if I could run like I was trying to do like DirectThis, I was trying to do Supabase, and like just setting up whenever I wanted to create a project, I could set up a new version of it, and it's just getting really complicated, and I want to iterate a lot faster. So I think I like this approach where the project itself just creates its own. It creates its own SQL database, and then you can just run whatever you need in it at the moment. The issue I was having before when I was trying to do this with like Lovable was that Lovable doesn't save the state, so the database file winds up once you make changes and then you do some more code, it loses the changes you made in the database. So I need to, but I'm actually I'm pretty much migrating myself off of Lovable at this point. I think I've taken that platform as far as I can. I created a proper V1 schema migration. Next steps: when you need to add new features in the future, fine. The migration system now is cleaned up and maintainable and ready for the front-end controlled database architecture. So data. All right. Copy relative path. Okay. Now I want you to clean up where the created. It's in, but just make a data. Just make a data folder with data DB in it, unless, yeah. All right, what I'm trying to do now is I just want to consolidate so that there's a better nomenclature to this. I want to get rid of all this garbage where it uploads the ROMs. Let me add a issue for that. Remove ROM upload. Right now, when you add ROMs, it creates, but these should just go right to the database instead of being copied to the file system. So remove the dependency. I don't know, think through this if it makes sense to keep. No, it should always be in the database. I don't want to keep anything in the file system. I was just trying to think through, like, if this is a desktop app, it would be nice if you just had a folder where you had ROMs. But what I want to do is make sure that, okay, I know what it is. Moving forward, when creating a desktop app, each project can get a path to a watch folder and automatically add new ROMs to the DB when a change is detected. So the idea behind this is that when I make this into a desktop app, I want it to watch a folder, and anytime I compile a game and put it into this folder, it'll automatically pick up that ROM, upload it, and import it into the database. I just need to make sure that each project has its own path of where that should happen. So we'll just keep this as an enhancement. Let's do this. Let me move the existing database file to a new location. And clean up the old database folder. All right, so the next thing we'll do is I'll have it remove the dependency on the ROMs and screenshots. Now let me test if the server still works with the new database location by checking if there are any setup logs. Run this command in terminal. Tree data F. I don't even know what that. That didn't work. Is this necessary? All right. Did it remove this database folder? Good. Creates the database, fine. This and this I also want to delete. I will delete this database too, but that's a whole other thing. What I want to do now is I just want to remove run this command. Now let's move the database file back into the location. It's already there. Where did it create this database? Data. Let me turn this app off. Stop. What is going on here? There's like some weird delete. I've already removed the DB file, so we can start the setup from scratch. Is there anything else you need to continue with? Why is there a V009 migration now? Shouldn't that be deleted? Alright, backends are, they have different naming. I need to update the front-end API services to match the backend endpoints. The backend has... Sure, whatever. It's doing like I don't know. This was like so not on my list. I feel like I said this like every single day when I stream, but like all I wanted to do was just clean up the way that the architecture works for each of those little actions. But now we're doing this. All right, let's have it remove this one little folder, but this is some sort of legacy stuff. And then I'm going to have it execute the ROM stuff. All right, while it does this, I'm going to go switch my desk to sitting. I'll be back in 1 second. All right, I am back. Let's see, help you find and remove whatever is creating the screenshot folder. All right, perfect, it found it. Then the next thing that I want to do is going to be, I want to, what do I want to do? I want to remove the ROMs, and then I think from there we should be able to start the app back up. And the goal being that when there's no database, the app should just boot up, create an empty database. Then when it creates an empty database, take you to the database page to set everything up. And then you set up the database, and then it should take you back to the dashboard. So let me also write that down as a note. This is how the setup process should work. The app started, and the front end and back end start. A new DB is created if one doesn't exist. The front end checks that the DB is correct. If not, it should go to the debug database page to update the, if not, it should go to the debug database page to update the database, apply any migrations, and revalidate so it can bring the user back to the dashboard and they can make new projects and test. All right, create this. This now aligns perfectly, blah, blah, blah. All right, we get this one last thing here. Currently updated and stored. This may break some stuff, but we'll come back. We can always come back to the ROM stuff later. Right now, I just need to get this flow working because, as you can see, restarting the server shouldn't break the entire app. So I just need to make this a little bit more robust. All right, so my end goal is just that I think if I can continue to get this to be as self-contained as possible when I migrate it over to Tori, it will make this process so much easier. I just need to, I think that's what I got to work on tomorrow at my studio is I need to get the computer over there ready to build out get it ready to build out Tori apps and get like I just need I was trying to do as much as I could on this Mac server, but it really starts falling apart when it needs to like compile things. So I need to come up with a new way of doing that. I was sort of stuttering in my head because I was thinking about how I got to figure out what the best way. I might need to start doing Kubernetes or something because I need to figure out how to maintain this compose file so that I can run it on different computers and then they can have their own IDs and I need to do all the traffic routing and all this other stuff. So it's just like a lot of moving parts to it. I was just sort of taking a look at how long these files are, seeing if there's things that need to be cleaned up. Why does the database migration service database migration service? Why does the database migration service have yeah, see, this is wrong. I was just checking on I'm doing a 3D print at my studio for my youngest. He wanted one of these articulating dragons, and I just picked up a new 3D printer a couple weeks back, and it has a little camera in it, so I'm trying to just log in remotely and take a look at how the progress is going. It just takes its sweet time to connect, apparently. All right, so let's see if it's almost done. Let's see if it's almost done with this. Now let's update the database health service. All right, there's something else I want to do. DB val. The front end should read from the DB migrations to understand what the DB structure should look like in val. Unless this is a natural part. Need to figure out the best way to validate the integrity of the database in a way that is not hard-coded. Busy, busy, busy. Looks like I got a lot of issues to deal with, but that's fine. Some of these stuff is going to, some of this stuff is going to automatically be handled already. I just haven't been updating the tasks. Man, this is weird. This is like this one little thing, which it was already uploading the ROMs to the database. So I don't understand why it now is why it is now doing all this stuff. But like, what is this DB migrations.js file? Like, this is really weird. Continue to iterate. This is a big problem. It's like, it has these migrations like in multiple places throughout the app, and this shouldn't happen like this. Like, it's, I don't know why it duplicates this, why it's duplicating this logic. Maybe I'm missing something. Yeah, look, in this health service, migration service, and DB migration, it's creating it in all these different places. Remove all the hard-coded and duplicate options, so this is cleaner and easier to follow/debug. I'm going to close all this stuff out because there's like so many things that are open now. All right. I'm hoping that this is the last major thing I need to send over, at least for handling the database setup. And then I can get into making sure that this thing actually sets up correctly. Having the database schema duplicated across 4 different files is a maintenance nightmare. Yeah, you are a nightmare, that's for sure. Oh my god, it's creating like a new, it just like adds more and more stuff. I need to get better at prompting and telling it like, hey, don't just create like new stuff, like fix either what exists or remove the stuff that no longer is needed. Yeah, like I don't understand, like why does the index file create all these tables? Or are these just the API? Okay, these are just the API calls. Let's see what's in here. Alright, these are just all the API calls that need to happen, that's fine. It did just make a change here, though. Trying to see where that change went. Oh, cool. It's just adding more garbage to this. All right. I'm just checking in on some other projects. I'm like so bad at this. Oops. So bad at this back end stuff. Like it's just really not my thing, and just trying to figure this out on the fly has just been a tad bit frustrating. I just so worried that it has created so much more garbage. Like, I wish there was like a slider or some sort of dial where you could just be like, hey, like, this is how aggressive I need you to be, and this is like how conservative I need you to be. Like, there's nothing in here where you can like really tell these agents, like, hey, I want you to be a conservative developer, or I want you to be like a uncontrollable junior developer and just create garbage everywhere. But I think that's what the setting is right now. It's sort of locked on create garbage everywhere and be a junior developer. The biggest issue is that the more I use these AI agents to do things that I don't normally do, like I don't know back-end stuff, I don't know how to wire that up, I'm really bad at like databases, that it gets me there, but I don't know what's going on under the hood. And I don't know if that's necessarily a bad thing, because I normally would just pass this off to a back-end developer anyways, but like it just gets me into a lot more trouble than I normally would, because I probably would have been way more conservative on what I would do with the database. Yeah, I wanted to see this one might actually help me. I might be able to migrate some of these views over to this. I also have another project. Maybe I'll just queue that up while I'm waiting for this thing to happen. Where is... I was looking at this new project. I was looking at this new project called Dyad SH, and I'm kind of curious. Like, so this is supposed to be like a lovable, like an open source lovable replacement that somebody is creating now, and it only runs locally on your computer. But I'm really interested in, I was thinking is checking this out and seeing what needs to be done to make it a Docker, to run a Docker. There was a branch that I saw for Docker. I don't know what is actually, like, whether this actually works or not, but I was thinking of poking around through this today, because getting this to run would be awesome. And honestly, if I could figure out more about how these sort of tools are built, I might start building my own versions of it. I'm trying to poke through here and just see what it's actually. Scaffolding, packages, assets. I don't really know what it is bundled up with. Is that Electron, maybe? Forge. I don't know what half of these things are. Playwright. But yeah, I mean, this is cool. Like, to be able to get these things is pretty promising. And honestly, like, as interesting as Lovable is, like, there's going to be so much better things coming out. I just sort of like lost my interest in it. All right. Where's the scripts? Okay, I see. Let's just do this here, because this is on the local move db migrate back and move. Sure. This is a cool feature that I actually this is a cool feature that I actually like with Copilot, is that you can modify the command that it runs, because it's trying to go to the root of my computer, and we're already in this scripts folder. So just having it move here. I wonder if it'll execute this. I don't think it'll execute it here. I think it'll go back to this Copilot instance. You know what? I have a weird idea. I wonder if we could do SSH NAS at studio. NAS.local. I wonder if I can SSH into its instance. I don't think I put my password in correctly. Nope. CD, coder, workspace. What are we in here? Game Boy, test frame, work, clear. I want to see if I run this here, if it's actually going to use my SSH instance. I want to see if it's, I think it might actually be running. I think that might be the key. I need to figure out how to get Coder to let me SSH into my projects, and then at least, and then it should be able to run everything. That's what I need to do too. That's probably my bigger task for the day, is set up Coder SSH. See, now I wonder what happens. As I stop this thread, I bet you it starts a new one up. But this is fine. I'm just going to delete this. This is what it wanted to do, right? It wanted to move this to backup. Let's just rename. New. All right. I want to see what happens now if it opens up a new run this command. We wanted to do cd into scripts and node db migrate js status. This I have to run on my server. Let me refresh this. Oh right, it's not running, so that's not going to work. All right, I'm just telling it that I don't have anything running right now until we finish this. So, all right, so the real question is now, there is only create table. If you get this markdown, if you get this markdown, this DB migration backup. So this DB migration backup, we're going to delete. Delete. Then what I wanted to see here is now why do these, let's keep all these changes. I think it actually might have put this file back. No, it didn't. So, wait, DB migrate backup. Reveal in Explorer view. Right, this one needs to be deleted. Then in search, I need to look for, what I want to see is fine. These are all readmes. I want to know why this, and this. All right, one last sanity check is going to be just to see like why I can see the issue. Looking at the files here are still hard coded to create. Of course there are. All right, let's see if we can fix this. Let me fix this by removing the migration table creation. Sorry, hold on 1 second. Somebody is calling me. Of course, it was a spam call. It actually came up as a person's name, so I thought it was someone I needed to talk to. This is now the correct separation of concerns. This is the proper migration architecture you were looking for. So now, all right, so I see what it's doing. It's creating the migrations table, and that's it. Okay. All right, so let's close all this stuff out. And now, the moment of truth is we should start this up, and it's going to create the database. We should actually be able to watch it here. If we refresh, we'll see this data should get populated with a database. Wait to see if it runs through all of its steps. Now we have, oh my, why is it still creating? Copy relative path. Let me see what it actually does now. Right. I thought we agreed to create the DB in data/database. Why did it make Yeah, see, this is a problem. Like, somewhere it's still using the old database path. And so in the past, what I've done is I've usually said, like, hey, I have this problem, then I like give it this problem. But what I'm just learning is I need to do these things like in smaller chunks. So what I want to do right now is I want to just fix this database creation and make sure that it's being created in the right place. Then I can go through and say, okay, maybe these things are disconnected. So let me rename this for a second. I just want to copy this and look for. All right, so we're going to delete this folder. And then we're going to start the server back up now and see what it does. So now the goal of what we're looking for is we want to see that in the data folder, there's just a database.db file. So we have a singular file, and then we can test whether all these other things are working. Because now if we get this error, I can now tell it like, okay, now I can't do anything. Let me refresh this real quick and see what. Cool, so now it didn't create the database at all? It's weird, it says database connection. I wonder if it created this somewhere here. Server creates the SQL database connection, which should create the database, but it's not initializing the migrations table. Let me check if the server has any database. Option 1, use the CLI tool to initialize to make the server auto-initialize the migration table. I'm going with option 3. Alright, let's see if this actually makes sense. It is much more cleaner architecture. The problem is that it always... yeah, the server changes I made earlier already implemented this. The server now... So the front end can... This is exactly... This. Yes, can you now make... Sure, and empty... DB always gets created if one does not exist. Well, not how I thought my day would be going. Alright, let's see what it does. So this should give us a... well, let's stop this. I want to make sure that this hasn't run anything. And then our data folder is still empty. So now we're going to start this back up. It should look for a database and create an empty database, and then we'll see what's actually calling the migrations from there. Wonder if Studio has local 301 API. I think this is actually running. Let me try to connect to my Mac and just run it directly on there. Whoops. Cool. Is it not going to give me the option to... I hid the dock. I hid the dock, so I can't now... I can't get it to... Hold on, let me just make this smaller. There we go. Local host 3. This may not work because it's inside of the container. I just was curious to see if it would. Alright, so let's come back here. Let's run this. And we have a database folder. Let's come here and rerun this. And let's go here. So, okay, now we're back at this part. Okay, so... All right, let's see. This is luckily I use this term loosely. This is a problem I'm dealing with almost in every single project at the moment that I'm trying to solve. So I keep like poking at it from different angles, and eventually I'll get this to a place where I come up with a clean way of just automatically setting up one of my projects, creating a database, connecting to it, and like all that boilerplate stuff. This way I can just automate it moving forward. And this is a problem of how these things take shape, is that until I figure out how these things work and I just like sort of muddle through it. I mean, I know I'm having like an AI coded, but I still dig into this stuff and still need to figure it out. Once I get the system working, then I can duplicate it, replicate it, and automate it. But because I have 6 or 7 projects right now that all rely on databases, and I don't feel like paying for Supabase for $20 a database a month for experiments, I have to come up with some better solution for this. All right, looks like there's still some corrupt code. I'm gonna let this run for a couple minutes, and then I'll end the stream for today. And tomorrow, Thursday, I should be back. Probably a little bit late in the morning on Thursday. The front end should now load without the module external error. The migration system works through the API endpoints. Yeah, I knew that wasn't going to work. You told me that the new front end was using these services, so why you lied to me is beyond me. Just letting it go through its thing here. I also have to move on to some other projects anyways today, so give this another 5 minutes to see if I can get something up and running, and then if not, this will become a project for another day. Hold on a second. There is no need for backwards. Trying to build this system from scratch. Oh my god, there's backwards compatibility code. I'm gonna actually check this out on my computer, on a workspace, and see if I can get this thing running locally. Coder. I want to create a new workspace. I'm just gonna make this a node workspace. don't even know what ports are open anymore. Yes. I don't want to start up command. Let's just create this workspace while I wait for this thing to go. All right, I want to see here, is this done? All right, first, let's go here, cd workspace, git, clone. I knew it was going to mess that up. See if I can clone it. Yeah, it's not gonna, it doesn't like that idea. You know what I could do? I could do cd rm. Can I do that? Nah, let's just do workspace. We'll just check this out here. Oh, interesting. Okay, okay. The package server, all that stuff, I think is my... Can I do that? It doesn't like... Alright, whatever. I'll clean this stuff up later. Let's... Oh, hey, look. This stuff is working. Back to the app. Okay. So, download... we don't need to download the React tools. Alright. So, all this stuff seems to be working. Did I save all these changes? Alright. Overall health. Issues found. Tables detected. Missing required tables. Run the migration. Like, why does it... Oh, here we go. Like, why does it change the structure of everything? Schema. All right, so the database should now work. So let's do this. Test... Of course. Copy. Requires not defined. All right. Okay. Things are loading, and I was able to create the DB and apply the migrations on the front end, but trying to create a new project gives me this error. All right, well, I'm gonna end it here. I'll keep poking at this when I have some time throughout the day, but at least at this point we now have this basic stuff is running. We can explore the database, view the schema, and yeah, I think at this point there's nothing else I can do until this actually figures out how to rewire up some of the stuff that got disconnected. But yeah, well, thanks for watching. I will be back Thursday, even though I think it's going to be 9. It may be a little bit later than 9 a.m., but I'll do some more stuff through that, and then over the weekend I'm going to finish up this tool so that starting on Monday of next week it is all Game Boy game all day long until I get this off my plate so I can finish this project, this game jam. So all right, thanks everyone for watching, and I will see you guys on Thursday.